They thought it was just a weekend getaway. 5 friends, 1 cabin, and a forest that seemed quiet, almost too quiet. But what started as laughter and relaxation turned into one of the most terrifying cinematic experiences ever made. This wasn't just another horror film. This was The Evil Dead, a movie that clawed its way into the nightmares of audiences, governments, and critics around the world. It wasn't polished Hollywood horror. It was raw. It was relentless. It was forbidden. A film so shocking it was banned in multiple countries. A film so influential it gave birth to one of horror's most iconic characters. And a film so legendary it turned a shoestring budget into one of the most terrifying cult classics of all time. This is the untold story of The Evil Dead, 1981, the banned horror film that refused to die. At the heart of this blood-soaked nightmare was a young actor named Bruce Campbell. Before he became a cult icon, Campbell was just a struggling performer helping his childhood friend bring a vision to life. His role as Ash Williams would transform him into one of horror's most enduring heroes. A man who starts terrified but grows into a symbol of defiance against evil. Alongside him was Ellen Sandweiss, portraying Ash's sister Cheryl. Her horrifying possession scene remains one of the most chilling transformations in horror history. Betsy Baker played Linda, Ash's girlfriend, whose twisted demonic laughter burned itself into audiences' memories. Hal Delrich and Teresa Tilley rounded out the group, playing Scotty and Shelley, 2 more victims caught in the cabin's curse. But the real mastermind behind it all was Sam Raimi. Barely in his 20s, Raimi pushed the boundaries of creativity with innovative camera tricks, bizarre angles, and unrelenting energy. Armed with determination, fake blood, and a vision, Raimi proved that imagination could outshine money. The cast and crew were cold, exhausted, and sometimes even injured during filming. Yet their sacrifice gave the world something unforgettable. 5 Michigan State University students, Ash Williams, his girlfriend Linda, his sister Cheryl, their friend Scott, and Scott's girlfriend Shelley, vacation at an isolated cabin in rural Tennessee. Approaching the cabin, the group notices the porch swing move independently. However, it stops as Scott grabs the door key. While Cheryl draws a picture of a clock, the clock stops, and she hears a faint voice instruct her to join us. Her hand becomes possessed, turns pale, and draws a picture of a book with a face on its cover. Although shaken, she does not mention the incident. When the cellar trapdoor flies open during dinner, Shelley, Linda, and Cheryl remain upstairs as Ash and Scott investigate the cellar. They find the Naturom de Monto, a Sumerian version of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, along with archaeologist Raymond Noby's tape recorder. Scott later plays a tape of incantations that resurrect a demonic entity. Cheryl yells for Scott to turn off the tape recorder, and a tree branch breaks one of the cabin's windows. Later that evening, an agitated Cheryl goes into the woods to investigate strange noises, and she is attacked and raped by demonically possessed trees. When she escapes and returns to the cabin bruised and anguished, Ash agrees to take her back into town, only to discover that the bridge has been destroyed. The pair return to the cabin, where Ash learns from the tape that the only way to kill the entity is to dismember a possessed host. As Linda and Shelley play spades, Cheryl correctly calls out the cards without looking at them, turns into a white-eyed zombie known as a deadite, and begins levitating. In a raspy voice, she demands to know why they disturbed her sleep and threatens to kill everyone. She stabs Linda in the ankle with a pencil and throws Ash into a shelf. Scott knocks Cheryl into the cellar and locks her inside. Everyone fights about what to do. Having become paranoid upon seeing Cheryl's demonic transformation, Shelley goes to her room but is drawn to look out of her window, where an unseen demon crashes through and attacks her, turning her into a deadite. She attacks Scott before he throws her into the fireplace, slashes her wrist, and then stabs her in the back with a Sumerian dagger, apparently killing her. When she reanimates, Scott dismembers her with an axe. Ash and Scott then bury her remains. Shaken by the experience, Scott leaves to find a way back to town. He returns shortly after, mortally wounded by the possessed trees, and dies while warning Ash that the trees will not allow their escape. Ash checks on Linda and realizes that she has become possessed. She attacks Ash, who stabs her with the Sumerian dagger. Unwilling to dismember her, he buries her instead. She revives and attacks him, forcing him to decapitate her with a shovel. Her headless body bleeds on his face as it attempts to rape him. He escapes as Linda dies and then retreats to the cabin. Back inside, Ash discovers that Cheryl has escaped the cellar. Cheryl eludes Ash and attempts to choke him. Ash escapes her grasp and then shoots Cheryl in the jaw. As Ash is barricading the door, Scott's dead body reanimates into a deadite. Scott attacks Ash and inadvertently knocks the book close to the fireplace. Ash gouges Scott's eyes out and pulls a tree branch from Scott's stomach, causing him to bleed out and fall to the ground. Cheryl breaks through the door and knocks Ash to the floor. As Scott and Cheryl continue to attack Ash on the ground, Ash grabs the book and throws it into the fireplace. While the book burns, the deadites freeze in place and decompose rapidly. Large appendages burst from both corpses, covering Ash in blood. Dawn breaks, and Ash stumbles outside. As he walks away from the cabin, an unseen demon races through the forest and attacks him as he screams in terror. When The Evil Dead premiered in 1981, it didn't just scare people. It shocked them to their core. Audiences weren't used to horror this brutal, this graphic, this unrelenting. The infamous tree assault scene left viewers disturbed. The gallons of blood and grotesque makeup effects felt uncomfortably real. Unlike polished studio horror, this was raw, handmade terror. Critics were divided. Some hailed it as groundbreaking, while others dismissed it as obscene garbage. But governments took it a step further. In the United Kingdom, The Evil Dead became one of the most infamous video nasties. Police raided stores, seized tapes, and even prosecuted people for selling or owning it. To own a copy was to risk punishment. In Germany, the movie was outright banned for over 30 years, not officially released uncensored until 2016. Other countries, including Ireland, Finland, and even parts of the United States, restricted or banned screenings. The harder authorities tried to silence it, the bigger its legend grew. Bootleg VHS tapes spread underground like forbidden treasure. Horror fans whispered about it, daring one another to watch it. The ban didn't kill the Evil Dead, it made it immortal. And immortal it became. Sam Raimi's low-budget masterpiece went on to inspire generations of filmmakers. His dizzying camera movements, his use of stop-motion gore, his blend of horror and dark humor, all of it became a blueprint for indie horror. What he proved was simple. You don't need millions to terrify people. You just need vision, courage, and maybe a few buckets of fake blood. Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams became the face of the franchise. What started as a scared survivor turned into a wisecracking, chainsaw-wielding legend. Ash became bigger than the movies themselves, appearing in comics, video games, and even the TV series Ash vs. Evil Dead. The bans also fueled important conversations about censorship. Should governments decide what audiences can watch? Or should viewers have the right to experience horror in its rawest form? The Evil Dead wasn't just a scary movie. It was a cultural battle, a clash between freedom of art and the fear of its impact. Decades later, The Evil Dead still influences horror. The cabin in the woods trope exploded, copied endlessly in countless films and shows. Directors like Quentin Tarantino, Peter Jackson, and Eli Roth all credit Raimi's creativity as inspiration. The film also proved that horror could be both disgusting and artistic. It blurred the line between exploitation and innovation, paving the way for more daring cinema. What was once contraband is now celebrated. What was once banned is now preserved, restored, and studied. The film that police once seized is now sold in collector's editions. The movie once labeled obscene is now hailed as one of the most influential horror films ever made. So why did governments ban it? Because it was too violent, too disturbing? Or because a group of kids with no money created something so raw and powerful it couldn't be controlled? The Evil Dead wasn't just about horror on the screen. It was horror that leaked into the real world, horrifying audiences, angering authorities, and inspiring creators. And 40 years later, the evil is still not dead. The Necronomicon still whispers, the cabin still waits, and Ash Williams still stands as the unlikely hero who faced it all. The question is, would you dare open the book and unleash the evil yourself?